and welcome back to Cuckoo for Books. My name is Salve, and today we are going to be doing another episode of judging a book by its cover. So today I thought we would tackle illustrated covers, and one thing I realized while picking said illustrated covers was that there aren't a lot of ugly ones, so we can't really do a compare and contrast on this video. Instead, this is to embrace and show the art of those many talented painters and artists out there. I thought this was also an appropriate thing to do this month because for this month's giveaway, I am going to be giving away several prints by a local artist named Brain Sarmiento. While we're doing that art painting artist vibe, why not do this video also to sort of coincide with that. First up, and this has always been one of my favorite illustrated covers, although I've never finished the series. This is the Eyes Like Stars series by Lisa Manchev. It's this really trippy fantasy, and I mean trippy in every sense of the word. This is based on multiple Shakespeare plays all at once. It takes place in a theater that performs Shakespeare plays, but also their lives mirror Shakespeare plays, but also the characters are from Shakespeare plays, and it's just very weird and trippy and fantastic. And these are the other covers. Next up on my list is one of the few ugly covers I was able to scrounge up. When will be the day that Salve stops talking about Tamora Pierce? Today is not that day, but when is that day that she will stop glorifying Tamora Pierce books? Today is that day. Her books have been around for forever and obviously have gone through a lot of cover redesigns. I'm talking about one particular cover redesign, the Simon & Schuster 2005 cover redesign, and it's the scariest thing ever. It's supposed to be a high fantasy. There are no ghost babies involved, but you would think otherwise based on this cover. Look at that scary demon child. That's not a demon child, that's our main protagonist. There have always been hits and misses when it comes to Tamora Pierce covers. They're not the best, but when they're good, they can really be good. Ooh, next up is another favorite, and this would be sort of my growing up, reminiscent, fond memories. If you haven't heard of the Once Upon a Time series, I'm not talking about the TV show, but the Simon & Schuster Once Upon a Time series. It's an anthology, and different authors come in to write different fairy tales. They've stopped writing it, which I think is a real shame. They used to do really pretty painted covers. This one is called Wild Orchid, and they just do really intricate, beautiful, I want to say they're watercolor, but I'm not a painting expert. For Rapunzel, it's like her hair, and so pretty, and I'm just gonna hold that up. And I don't know if my camera is focusing, but you can get the gist of it. What I hate about these books is that they were doing so well with the painted covers and rolling out the goods. And then about 5 books before they stopped publishing them, they did a redesign. They used real life models. You know the type, and the ones that are really out of place and badly photoshopped. But we're not gonna talk about that because this is not a book hating session. They're less fairy tale retellings and more of grown up, more detailed version of fairy tales. Another book that went through a redesign but whose original illustrated covers I really loved were Shannon Hale's Books of Bayern series. This would be the original one, and I just love the nice fairy tale vibe it gives and pastels. This is me trying to be an art critic even though I know nothing about art. Original cover of River Secrets, pretty and fairy tale-like, appropriate for fairy tale retellings. New cover of River Secrets, romance. I would be remiss in my list making if I didn't include the Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas books. I love that this isn't a live model because Selena is such a strong character. We should be allowed to form her in our own imagination instead of picturing a real person do it. I am excited and I look forward to the cover reveals because such intricacy. This is probably one of my favorite Throne of Glass covers. Last 3 favorite covers. I really like the A Curious Tale of the In-Between cover. Best use of ghostliness. It's a lake and you can see she's all alone, but the reflection, she is not. It's not as scary as it looks. It's a nice ghost story. I think it evokes that sort of lonely ghost story. It's a ghost story of loneliness. More of loneliness than creepiness. One of my favorite book covers, period. Second to the last favorite cover, Rick Riordan's Heroes of Olympus series. I love how intricate these covers are. They're one of those covers that people talk about, like, oh, did you notice that little detail on Jason's arm? I think it always just pumps you up for whatever adventure lays inside the pages. For the last, of course, a classic. Can you guess what it is? what else would I end this list with but Harry Potter? All the covers, gorgeous. Look how it opens up. And another book that also has little details that you talk about because, like, you know, for the longest time, I never noticed Sirius. Then you got the Womp and Willow and the Dementors. Of course, a great plus is that not only does it have illustrated covers, but each chapter gets a nice illustration. And I don't know about you guys, but I was one of those people who, when I would first get the books, I would go through the chapters, not read it, just go through each chapter heading and look at the pictures. Of course, I was probably about 8 when that happened, so that might explain my fascination with illustrations. I always felt like it was sort of a teaser for what the rest of the chapter would be. So of course, favorite illustrated version. And that about does it for this week's Judging a Book by Its Cover. You can join me on my other bookish adventures on Twitter and Instagram, both at Cuckoo for Books. Please subscribe. I will see you guys next Sunday or sooner for my next video. Bye guys!